In this lesson, we're going to learn Blender shortcuts and enable the add-ons that we're going to use.
So this is the default scene in Blender. Once you open it, you're going to find all of this. The scene was the camera, cube, and point light. This is a 3D viewport, and of course we have list of all the objects that we're going to have. So camera, cube, point light again. And down here we have the tabs where we're going to change all the render settings, the materials, colors, and stuff like that. And also we have the timeline at the bottom. We're not going to use it. This course does not include animation, but if we're going to do animation, of course we're going to use the timeline down there. But yeah, let's add the add-ons we're going to use in this course. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm just going to explain what we do with each once we start using them. So we go to Edit, Preferences, and we click on the add-ons here, and then we start to add a few of them. So the first one we're going to add is the pie menu. It's going to help us with navigation and different views and different stuff. So an extra objects, it's going to come in handy if you're trying to create some stuff other than the primitives. Loop tools, a bool tool, node wrangler. I'm going to add materials and stuff, nodes. And yeah. So I know that like the UI of S3D software is usually a little bit scary in the beginning, but yeah, you have to get used to it. And then once you understand where everything is, it's going to become way easier. And also, like, you can see it's kind of divided in a nice way. Like the 3D viewport is the biggest chunk of the screen. The list here and the tabs. And of course, we have the workspaces. I suggest checking out what you can do with each. And of course, you can add more. But mainly in this course, we're going to work with layout, modeling, and costing maybe in the very end. Let's get started with navigating the 3D space. If you hold the mouse wheel and rotate around, you're going to rotate around the cube. Of course, with the mouse wheel, if you zoom in and out, and again, if you hold it, you can move around. And if you press Shift and the mouse wheel, you can pan and like move it around like that. Basically the same in most 3D softwares, of course, maybe a little bit different with some stuff. So instead of Shift, maybe Alt or Control, or instead of like the mouse wheel, maybe like I don't know, the mouse wheel and like Alt and Control. So yeah, it's different combinations, but it's pretty similar in most 3D softwares. Right now we focus on the cube and rotate around it and stuff, but if you want to focus, let's say, on the camera or any other object, you can select it and then press dot on the numpad. You can just focus on it. And if you want to go back to the cube again, cube and then on the numpad, and then you're going to focus on it. Let's say we have a lot of objects in the scene, and I want to focus on the cube, but hide everything else. If you want to do that, there's a shortcut for it. If you press the / with the cube selected, it's going to hide everything in the scene. So if you rotate, you cannot see the camera or the point light, but we just have the cube. It's good if you have something blocking your way, or you just want to model something without any distractions in the scene. So yeah, if you press the / again, everything comes back. It was the focus shortcuts. Working on a 3D modeling, you want to check all different angles. Of course, you can just rotate and find the angle that you want to work from, or you can work from just one angle, but you'll find that usually when I'm modeling stuff, I just press Ctrl-Alt-Q, open this quad view where you see like your perspective, and of course the top view, front, and right view. And you can zoom in and out on each of them, move them around, and still this one, and then Ctrl-Alt-Q. So you can just jump in and out of them. I do that a lot. And even if I don't say it, it's just Ctrl-Q is just muscle memory right now. So I just Ctrl-Q and stick super quick. And last but not least was the camera. If you want to see the view of the camera, so you just press 0 on the numpad and you can see it. One small thing, if you don't have a numpad, you're working on a laptop, you can just go to Edit, Preferences, Input, then Emulate Numpad, check that box. Then the numbers on the top of the keyboard will work as a numpad, but I highly suggest getting a numpad. You know, one of those USB ones, and connect it to your laptop, because it will make your life way easier when you're working with 3D software, at least. But since I have a full keyboard, I'm just gonna uncheck the box and go back. So with the camera and quad view done, now we can move to creating objects. So let's delete this cube. If you want to delete something, you can press X, and then you'll find this pop-up that says, hey, you want to delete this? And you just left click and it would get deleted. This works with everything in Blender. If you want to delete a file, and if you're selecting a file in the UI and press X, it's going to delete it. So anything, vertices, edges, nodes, whatever. Let's add a new object. So Shift A, mesh. We can add a lot of objects. I'm just going to go through the meshes right now, the primitives that we have. But of course, feel free to check what each one does, and maybe you get to use them in one of your own projects really soon. Yeah, let's add the plane, cube, circle, UV sphere, ecosphere, cylinder, cone, and doors. Those are the primitives that we have. Of course, you can check out the other meshes, rocks generator, stuff like that. Maybe monkey, Suzanne monkey. That's like the default in Blender, and you can see them in a lot of Blender artworks and stuff. But usually, like the primitives that we use are those ones. And of course, once you tweak the geometry, you can do anything. Like most of my models are created using a cube. So yeah, just you gotta get used to imagining how an object would look like with just primitives, and then you work your way with the geometry in the pipeline and stuff. And also, it's not that you just add like a torus and that's it. If you go press Shift A to add the torus, and you add a torus, you can see in this small corner there's this Add Torus menu here. If you expand it, you find a lot of details that you can change. So major segments, it's like increases the major segments of the torus, make it smooth or really rough. Minor segments, so maybe make it super rough or super smooth, like a donut of some sorts. Major radius, if you want to create a ring, or a minor radius. Oh, that's a donut. But yeah, tweak a lot of the stuff in each object. So create a cylinder. Also, you can do the same, increase and decrease it. So yeah, just check all the details. You can tweak it in all of the primitives, so you know what you want to tweak if you're creating something specific. But yeah, that's how you add the objects and primitives and stuff. Let's just delete everything and then add our cube again. So with this done, let's learn how to move, scale, and rotate objects. If I want to move this cube, if you press G, you're going to move it around. But in 3D, we don't move stuff organically like that. We actually move them alongside the axis that we have. So X-axis, maybe. If you press G and then X, you move it alongside the X-axis. Press G and Y, you move it alongside the Y-axis. And if you press G and Z, you move it along the Z-axis. Of course, if you want to move some, like the cube around the X and the Y-axis, but not the Z one, you can press G and then Shift Z, and then you see you move it around the X and Y. And it goes with the other stuff as well. So if you want to move it alongside the X and Z, but not the Y, G, Shift Y, and then you can move it around. That's the shortcut for moving stuff around. And then if you want to rotate, super easy, press R, and then X maybe, Z, or Y. And if you want to rotate something, like an object to a specific angle, you can press R. Let's say I want to rotate it around the Z, so RZ. And then maybe type in with the numbers 45, so 45, and then enter. Now we have it in a 45 degree angle. That's how you rotate stuff. If you want to scale stuff, super easy again, S. So I want to move, G, rotate R, and scale S. And if you want to scale something alongside, if you press S, you can scale it. If you press SX, you scale it alongside the X-axis, SY, SZ. And again, it works if you want to scale some stuff around X and Y, but not the Z-axis. S, Shift Z, Shift Z. Now that would do it like that, or S, Shift X, and so on. Also, one other thing, if you want to scale something with a specific value, so let's say I want to scale this to 1.5 times the scale, so S, and I write 2.5 and then enter. Now it's scaled 2.5 times the original size. So with moving, rotating, and scaling is done, what if I want to duplicate this cube to create another cube? Or maybe this is not a cube, maybe it's a tree and I want to populate the scene with trees. So I just press Shift D and Shift Z to move it alongside the X and Y axis, then Shift D again, Shift D. So you can just populate a scene of like with trees or maybe rocks or something. Yeah, Shift D, you duplicate a lot of stuff with it. But let's say I want to create like feet or shoes. And if I'm creating one, I just want it to have like a copy of it. So I'm just going to go really quickly right now, edit the geometry of this one. I'm going to explain how to do that later. I'm just going to create something real quick here and then something like that. For example, something like this. I wanna have the other one like the same as this. So the easy way to do it is just delete it, then Shift D, and then move it alongside the X-axis. So press X and then click. Now I have the other shoe or the feet. But the thing is, what if I want to edit this more, but I want to see the real-time updates on this one? In this specific case, I delete, but instead of duplicating with Shift D, I make a linked duplicate. So it's linked to the original one. So Alt D and then move it alongside the X-axis. If I make any changes, it's going to reflect on the other one. Any change. So you'll see the real-time changes on the other one, which comes in handy with like stuff like this, like arms, feet. Maybe if you, I don't know, create something simple like a wheel for a car and you want to tweak it again. So you just do that. It's really handy. That's how you do linked duplicates. So let's delete those things. Go to cube again, our default cube, add it with Shift A. And then let's, right now I edited the geometry with the cube and made this really rough shoe. And to make like the feet and everything. So how did I edit the cube? If you want to go to the edit mode of one object, like for example, we have the cube here and want to edit it. So we go to edit mode. Right now we're in object mode. If you want to go to edit mode, you press tab. When you press tab, you can see the cube is selected and we are actually tweaking the geometry for the cube. You can access it with tab, so it would toggle edit and object mode. Or if you press Control Tab and hold it, you'll see the pie menu that we were talking about. So with the pie menu, we have all the other modes, but right now I'm just going to focus on this one, object and edit toggle, or tab. You can access with tab as well. So if you go to edit mode, you have to know what the geometry consists of. So we have the point, like those three icons, point, line, and area or face or polygon. So basically, the point or vertex is the points that make an object. Of course, we can move it with the shortcut that we have, G. So we move it, select it and move the points or the vertex. And just move them around. And that's the vertex. Of course, the edge, you can do the same. Edge or line. And you can also scale it, rotate and stuff. And the polygon or face, you can select it and also move it around, scale and stuff like that. And of course, you can move it around like that, but usually we don't go super organic with geometry like that, so it's better to move them alongside the geometry to have the cleaner topology or cleaner geometry as you move with your object. So if you want to slide, let's say I want to move this vertex but alongside this line. I don't want to just move it organically like that in 3D space. So if I want to move it, I just press G and then G again, and then you'll see it sliding alongside that line. So that's a good thing. You'd have that clean geometry that we're talking about. And it works for the same for the edge or line, face or polygon as well. So yeah, that's how you slide. And of course, if you want to deselect, if you have some stuff selected and you want to deselect them, you press and hold A, you find all different types of selections, select less, select more, box select, circle select. But the one we're going to focus on is select all toggle. If I go here, I deselected everything. If I do it again, I select everything. And you're gonna see me do this a lot within the course, just A and then move really quick up and then release. I'm just gonna do it a lot, just selecting and deselecting everything. But yeah, just gotta get used to it. So yeah, that's it. And one last thing was this weird geometry. If we select everything and duplicate it again, as you can see, we have tons of duplicates of it right now. If we go to object mode, now like we have this cube selected, but the cube now contains all the other random geometry. So this is our cube now. And yeah, we can move them, delete them, whatever. You can have, I don't know, a character, which is just made up of just one object. But of course, if you go to edit mode, you'll find all the smaller objects. And if I want to select one of them, but instead of just selecting each polygon on its own, and it's annoying to do so, you can just hover over it and then press L. And if we want to select another one, L, L, L. But if you want to deselect one of them, just press Shift L. Now you deselected one of them just there.